I'm really looking forward to hearing your story about transitioning into retirement. Why don't you share what's going on in your world?
Okay, well, so we're going to work backwards with this. I'll tell you that I'm an ordained minister, and my background is in student ministry. I did that for a lot of years, like 40 years, either full time, part time, or on an interim basis. And I think in some ways that's always going to be my first love. But for the last 25 years, I've worked for our state denomination. We have a newspaper that I am the editor of, and I've been doing that. I've actually been editor for 2 years, 2.5 years, but I was in the associate editor role for a long time before that. But September the 1st of this year, I will have completed 25 years. It just blows my mind when I think about it. I can't imagine. But there is a point certain on the horizon in that I will be completely retired December 31st of this year. And then it's like phase two of life after that, which is really kind of exciting, honestly. Looking forward to retirement, but I'm not one of those retirees that's just going to sit and, do nothing. I tend to feel like that the reason that I'm not dead, and this may be true of all of us, is that we have not completed what God put us here to do yet. So I'm really looking forward to this next phase of life.
Yeah, well, that's pretty exciting. I mean, there's got to be a rush of emotions that you're feeling with all of this. I can only imagine, as you're looking forward to an end of the year type transition, that you feel like it's getting close, probably. And on the one hand, there's great joy. On the other hand, maybe a little bit of dread over what it's going to be like to never get a day off. I mean, tell me how you're feeling about this, though.
Well, we've had this conversation a lot at our house because my wife is retiring the same time as I am. So we're both retiring in sync December 31st, which is interesting. We were just talking about what is it going to be like about what's it going to be like not to have to live your life around a calendar or work hours or anything of that sort. To have your time as your own, that kind of intrigues me because certainly that's not been a place I've ever been in. But there's a lot of transition that goes with this. For one thing, in addition to us retiring, we're going to move to Laurel, Mississippi, to be close to our grandkids, their expensive parents. As a matter of fact, we actually made an offer on the home down there, and we should know by 5 o'clock this afternoon whether they accept our offer or not. So all that's happening at the same time. Plus, our next phase is doing coaching. Trying to get that run deal, feeling really comfortable about Christian life coaching and really taps into my skill set, I think. And it's an area that I've not been able to as fully as I would like to. So that's kind of where we are. A lot going on in the Martin house.
Well, that's probably a very common story, not the coaching part of it, but the idea of being able to control your clock. And what I hear maybe is that you're looking forward to operating out of pure passion. The clock isn't what motivates you, the paycheck isn't what motivates you, but that your passion is to coach others. And so maybe you can tell me a little bit about what that means.
Well, I think just being able, I mean, you talk about being your own boss, but I don't think that's ever the case because you're always going to answer to someone, either your wife or any clients. You're never going to be completely, and certainly, if you're a child of God, you're going to take your marching orders from Him, which is fine because He knows better than anybody else what you need to be doing. But it is an interesting. Now, it's not bad, but it's really different. It's like a whole new normal. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I feel real comfortable heading that direction.
Sure. So what's going to get you up out of bed in the morning? What's going to fuel you up for your day?
I like that question. I'm going to try to come across. I don't want to come across just like hyper spiritual here, but the reality is that I want to feel God's pleasure, and I want to honor Him in what I'm doing in this next phase. And I'm a morning person. I was up at 5 this morning working on some things. It's not going to be a matter of get up and get at it. It's just, to me, it's just like I want to please God. and he has given me these, I think, really fine, by his grace, some really fine gifts of like empathy and the ability to listen and the ability to maybe show some wisdom. That's a big, big issue for me is that I don't want to be smart as much as I just want to be wise. And somebody said, I can't remember where the quote came from, but I know a lot because I've seen a lot. At 69, which is not nearly as old as I used to think it was, I've got some resources. I believe I can help people. Okay, I think I can honestly, through this coaching venue, I think I can help them find what they need in their lives, whatever place they're at. I'm sort of targeting Christian entrepreneurs, but really what I'm offering will be good for anybody that just wants some direction and have some problem solved because they'll get to set the agendas to what they need. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Hmm. So when it comes down to helping people figure things out,
Mhm.
uh, obviously with coaching you have to pick a lane, and you've got
Yeah.
some sort of idea in mind who's the person that you most want to help.
Well, uh, my avatar, I think is the term we like to use these days, but the person I'm really mindful of is that Christian entrepreneur who who really wants to, like, I'm my own avatar, who really wants to make a difference, really wants to make an impact for kingdom work, but they're maybe stalled out or frustrated. They're trying to get some direction and not really sure. They feel like they've got a calling, but they don't know how to put feet to that calling. And so my role in that would be just to kind of tease that out and help them determine, first of all, what their needs are, because a lot of times they're not able to verbalize that. So that would be just a matter of the nature of life coaching needs. It's just asking really hard, pointy questions, because the idea is you've got the answers already by God's grace and in you. My role would be just to help you uncover those and then get a plan to work them. So that's really broad, but that's the nature of the thing. In other words, client sets the agenda, right? I mean, I don't come with a prepackaged thing, although I will offer some coursework alongside what I'm doing if they want it. But it's really just a matter of, okay, I'm looking at you as an individual. What do you need? What's your heart's desire right now? Let's get that surfaced and let's figure out how to solve the problems that come along with that as far as finding out how you actually flesh out what you need to be doing.
Sure. What I love about what you're doing as you transition into this retirement thing is you're actually helping people to realize their God-given purpose and to
Yeah,
find meaning in
absolutely.
life through that.
Yeah.
And I really love that. It's the lane that I intend to travel on. I don't know that I'll ever fully retire. I don't think that's in my DNA, but I do love the idea of helping people to understand why they're on earth and to find that passion that makes what they do a joy and not a hurdle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think also finding that life balance, because like you said, you got some grandkids down there that you're wanting to be a granddad for. And so, what's one of the things that you can do with your grandkids that by being close that you haven't been able to do by being a few hours away?
Well, there's this old joke, the old saying about, if I'd known grandkids would be so much fun, I would have had them first. I'm starting to understand that. I want to be the definitive grandparent. I want to be the ultimate papa, okay? Not, again, to stoke my own ego or anything, just because I know how my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, just really invested in me. And as much as my parents, and my mom especially, invested in me and gave me self-assurance and confidence and self-reliance and all those kind of things, Meemaw even took it a step. And so I want to be that. Of course, our kids want us increasingly to be taxi service, help them get the kids to soccer or cheerleading or baseball, whatever it is they're doing at any given point in time. So we'll do that. We'll be we'll be taxi. But just to be able, the proximity thing is, I think, just be able to sort of see them kind of pretty much whenever we want to. Because now you still, it's just logistics. We're not that far. You still have to structure your day around that traffic and everything. So just to have the backyard more or less. If we get the house, we place an offer on, we're about 3 miles from it. So that would be good.
That sounds phenomenal.
But let's just invest in kids' lives, right? Just to be that encouragement, grandparent that affirms them and their gifts and all the things because they're little creatures created in the image of God. So, to help them kind of surface what their calling is, even as preschool, not preschoolers, but even as elementary kids, it's not too soon to start.
I think it's going to be fun for your grandkids too, because you are one of the more entertaining people I know. You just have that way of finding the humor in life, and I think that's probably pretty important. How does humor play into your mindset as someone who's anticipating retirement?
That's an interesting question. I don't set out to be funny. I mean, it's not like I've got new material out all the time. I think God has gifted me with a sense of humor, and sometimes people don't always get my humor because sarcasm to me is like a love language. I don't mean anything. Oh, I tell people, you got to watch that because people don't know you. They don't know where you're coming from. So I have to guard myself from that. But I just think people tend to take themselves way too seriously. And as believers, we want to take life seriously, of course, but we don't need to fret over it because God's got this. And so, that just takes once I finally got to the place where I realized, it's out of my hands anyway, that God's, he's structuring, he's doing activity all around me, and I just need to tap in on what he's doing. That takes a lot of the pressure off, and that gives me the chance to have a lighter heart. But the whole humor thing, I don't script out jokes or anything. I just say stuff, and I think that's just planted in. Sometimes I say way too much. Sometimes I probably need to self-edit more. But I just don't I feel like I'm sober enough when I need to be and take things seriously when I need to be. But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, there's just not all that much to get totally bent out of shape over because God's got me. He's got us, and He's got it. I don't need to try to take that away from Him. Right? I don't need to be an assistant to the Holy Spirit. He's got that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a long
awesome.
answer.
That's awesome. I think it's a gift that you have, and I think it's not something you try for. And I think when people overwork a sense of humor, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I think that's a natural part of your rhythm. One of the things you mentioned is that you're retiring with your wife,
Hmm.
and there's got to be some expectations and things along those lines. What are you most looking forward to in being more free to be with your wife?
Well, we've got a great relationship, and I've never been afraid to say, in working with teenagers over the years, I said, let me show y'all what a good marriage is supposed to look like. I can honestly say that we've never really argued. There have been times where we've had intense fellowship, is what I call it. But, we've always been able to work it out. And I tend to defer to her on a lot of things. I don't necessarily ever feel like I have to play that. I'm in charge. I'm the husband. I don't have to play that because I think she's got extraordinary wisdom too. And I think just to make a distinction here, I think sometimes I hope this doesn't come across sexist, but sometimes women just have insight into things that we guys don't. I think there's something to this intuition. So when Teresa speaks up, I do believe that sometimes God guides her words or thoughts just especially for me. I guess all that to say, I'm looking forward to being with her, but we've always been real comfortable having our own sets of interests in our friend groups and all that. So I think we've got a pretty good balance there. But it's going to be interesting, both of us being under the roof at the same time. I will tell you, here's what I believe. I'm really content to work from home, but I'm going to give Teresa about 2 weeks before she finds something to do outside the house, whatever that is, as a volunteer or some little part-time gig. She'll go nuts. She's just like that. She's the extrovert. I am the technical introvert. I'm perfectly content with my own company. Uh, Sometimes it's a stretch for me to. Like I did a wedding this weekend, and during the reception afterwards, I had people just about as long as I could, and then I said, I got it. My social battery is drained, but she just thrives on being around folks and gets energy from that. And I'm like, knock yourself out, sister. I'll wait in the car.
So, you mentioned being by nature an introvert.
Yeah.
And retirement, a lot of what I hear from people is they battle isolation.
Yeah.
How are you prepared to, keep yourself connected to others around you, what communities do you find value in that you can continue to interact with to keep yourself from becoming so isolated that it becomes a drag?
That's that is a great question. I think certainly after we moved to be involved in a local church, um, whatever that looks like, whether I, get involved with small groups or lead a group or whatever, I'm wide open with that. It's interesting that my daughter and son-in-law, they're members of First Baptist Church in Laurel, and I know the staff there, and they're saying, "We can't wait for you to get there. We can put you to work." I'm thinking, let me get acclimatized first before you start. Let me find my place there. So that would be the logical first step. Honestly, Bill, you and I are part of a group through Faith to Influence, through Christian Coaches Academy. That's a pretty good group, even though it's a virtual group. We're hanging out with some good people.
We
I
really
get
are.
one going on right now, right?
That's entirely true. That's how we connected, and I am grateful for the opportunity to connect with some really fine people who have some, very strong ideas about what they're on earth to do. And,
Yeah.
that makes it a whole lot easier.
Well, it's really encouraging to be around people that get it, because I feel like maybe what we're the space we're in, what we've been called to, a lot of people just look like, "Now, what are you doing? What is this?" What? Well, so that's a big deal. Your affinity group, and you can blow off social media all you want to, and you can blow off, what we're doing right now on this call, but you can really build relationships virtually if you work at it and just kind of go with it, even though you're not in the same physical space. You're in the same spiritual space. So there you go.
Well, what's one thing you really don't want to do when you retire?
Well, my snarky answer is I don't want to have to get dressed every day. I mean, I want to shave some days, but that's really shallow. I feel like I ought to have something more profound than that to say. But again, I'm not. The things that I won't miss are not. I don't. My days. I don't really have to answer to anybody per se in a negative kind of way. But again, just to have the freedom to do what I need to do on my own timetable. I'm not going to miss being. I'm not going to miss that kind of structure. I'm be real happy to leave that behind.
That sounds like it'd be a fun thing to do. I've been blessed the last couple 3 years. I've been able to work my passion.
Yeah.
And I'm still working, but I'm working my passion, and that's a really wonderful thing to be able to say. And I think that you've hit on something. That in this conversation, there's balance. You've got a way to stay connected to people locally. You've got a way to stay connected to people on a larger scale with Faith to Influence. You've got, that idea of here's what I want to do with my wife, and it's a great relationship. You've got ideas of what you want to do with your life once you've retired with the coaching. And so if you were to just tie a bow on this whole conversation and say, here's the thing that makes me so excited about retirement, what would that be?
I think to be able to actually fulfill God's purpose for me in this season, which again, since I do have a full-time day job and I have to be really careful, I don't let these two worlds overlap. In other words, when I'm at work at the day job, which I do really enjoy, but I want to honor my time with them. Certainly, I don't want to take time away from what I'm getting paid to do there. But just to know that after that season ends here in just a very few months, just to be able to say, okay, God, without any constraints from the outside, I'm going to be able to do what you want me to do. That really kind of fires me up. That's really exciting for me.
Well, Tony, this has been
I'll always be under his authority. And I want to honor that because I feel like what I'm doing now in days to come is like stewardship, a job with the trust involved. And so I really want to honor him in everything that I do. That's a huge priority. Anytime it's like of me and not of him, I'm gonna mess up every time. Every time.
I've really enjoyed our time together, Tony, and I look forward to spending some more time with you on Faith to Influence, and hopefully we'll get together at that conference again next year where we met this year. And,
yeah.
it's sorry.
I said I wouldn't miss it.
Absolutely. I think that it's great to have heard from you. I think you had a lot to share today that's going to change people's perspective on retirement. I think the hope that you have, the anticipation,
Yeah.
the idea, the framework that you've put in place is really kind of fun. And so I look forward to checking in with you in about a year and seeing how all that's going.
Yeah, let's
And
see where this
maybe you can
goes.
kind of give us an update.
We'll sure do that, you know. Just
Yes,
need to
sir.
say,
Well, thanks
been
again,
happy.
Tony. Great to have you with us.
All right, you be blessed. We'll chat later.